What is good, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video, and in this one I want to break down what's happening with the overall market and give you guys a very important warning for tomorrow. But let me just mention that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please smash the like button if you want to see more videos like this. It not only benefits me, but benefits the entire community as a whole. Anyways, for tomorrow is going to be Thursday, May 30th, 2024. 1 hour before the market opens at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have some important numbers coming out. We have the GDP growth rate quarter over quarter, not to mention initial jobless claims all coming out. And all this data could cause some very, very interesting volatility. So if you're holding anything overnight, if you're holding some kind of position or anything like that, I just want to make it very clear that you'll have to hold through the GDP numbers, and this may cause a very, very big move. The market may gap up or gap down depending on how this looks. So make sure you're prepared for that just to be safe, but know from a technical standpoint, technicals do favor downside a little bit more in my personal opinion, because when you look at this, we do have a bearish structure here and this little wedge here that could lead to some downside even lower. And then another factor is that when we kind of zoom out all the way, let me actually hide my drawings for a second, just kind of show you this. So for SPY on the hourly time frame, we're just shuffling back and forth, right? With this happening, we're trying to hold our 200 EMA, but the issue, at least for at least a lot of the bulls right here, argument we're going to try to bounce is that we may not be ready for a big bounce yet, because when you zoom out like this, when you look at, let me just pull this up, the daily MACD, we're actually turning bearish. We're very close to bearish crossing the PPO right here. And then on top of this, I just want to make it very clear that we have this big gap right here. So we're actually holding gap support. It's gap support that's holding SPY up. If we lose that gap support in this 526 area, we could easily start dipping down to fill this gap around 523. So that's going to be very, very important. There's a very, very good chance we're going to fill that gap soon, in my personal opinion. This might depend on the GDP numbers too, but just to be clear, I think there's a very good chance of that happening. So I want to make it very clear to be very careful and very mindful of this, and we'll see how things go. But just know that there is a risk of that potentially happening. Now, SPY has resistance currently at 527.3 to 527.5. 527.3 was where our 20 EMA was on the 30 minutes, and also the 0.5 is actually where our 20 EMA is on the hourly. So, excuse me. So that entire range is resistance. Support is currently at 526. All day it's been back and forth price action, but there is still a risk of us dipping lower, looking at some technical analysis. Now, could this change depending on GDP numbers? Yes, it could, but for now, we do favor downside, in my personal opinion, and we'll see how things go moving forward. For Nvidia, it's the same thing. We have 1150 as resistance. We have support at 1134. If we reject off 1150, we'll be looking for a move back down to this 20 EMA, and we'll see how this ends up reacting from here. Overall, we're still holding up very well on Nvidia, in my personal opinion, and there is still potential for this to break all-time highs again. It's still showing a lot of strength relative to the market, still in the green, so not bad whatsoever. Tesla's also showing some strength. It's actually holding its support. So I said Tesla may dip a little bit thanks to how the market was forming. And yes, we got this dip on Tesla. We came all the way down. Considering that we almost hit 178 yesterday, we actually went down to about 173. So we saw a 5-point drop on Tesla. Tesla was just shuffling down here. It was also red for a couple of hours as we were shuffling around 175 for about 4+ hours. And then just a few hours ago, Tesla started to break to the upside again, and now we're testing 178 as resistance. Watch 178 and then 180 as resistance. We have support at 176 in that entire area. If we lose that, I'll be watching 175 and 173. Overall, Tesla, even though it's trying to rebound a bit, it's not looking that amazing yet, because we still have a range. It's just been going back and forth between around 180 and 173 for the last about 2+ weeks. It's been just back and forth price action. There was one instance where Tesla did break above that before coming back down. But besides that, it's just sideways price action for Tesla. Now, Tesla is building some strength as it's trying to base very, very nicely. Here's a very, very nice base established. We're trying to rebound up again. So there is some upside potential for this to try to outperform the markets, but I'd still be very, very careful nonetheless, because news also affects it. But for now, it's holding up very well. For the QQQ, it's outperforming SPY just a little bit because of the fact that Nvidia is holding up. So is Aapl. We have resistance currently around 457.5. We have support all the way down 457 flat, not to mention 455. In my opinion, we'll be watching this entire range, 457.5 to 455. If we lose 455, we're dipping down to 453 quite easily. If we break through 457.5, we're going to be pushing back up to about 459.25, which is where our imbalance happens to be. So I'll be giving this some time just to see if we get a rejection or not. But so far, we're holding up very, very well. For Aapl has support currently around this 191 to 190.6 area, and we have resistance at 192. If we end up losing this support, we're going to be dipping all the way down to 189.3 and even lower levels like that. So I'll be watching to see how things end up moving. I'll be very, very mindful of this. Apple does have potential to try to rebound a bit to retest 192. Then maybe just continue to trade sideways between 192 and 190.5. But overall, it's still holding up decently, and we'll see how well this continues moving forward. For a few more tickers, the IWM Russell 2000, as you guys can see, it dipped quite a bit all the way down to 202. I did call downside on this, and this is playing out very, very nicely. If we lose 202, we have 200 coming, and we have resistance currently at 202.5, not to mention 203.4. That's where our 20 EMA happens to be. So we'll just have to wait and see how things end up going. For Coinbase, in my opinion, is also trading in a very, very interesting trend right now. We have this resistance around this 240 area. We have support currently at 235. We're just kind of trading sideways right now, so we'll have to see which way it breaks. If we close or hold above 240, we could be looking for an imbalance fill all the way up to about 245. If we reject here, this could be like a head and shoulders, so there is a risk of it tipping lower. If we lose our 50 EMA at 235, I'll be looking for a push all the way down to about 225, basically. For Amazon, we got a small rejection off 184. Now we're just shuffling between support and resistance again. A lot of stocks are just shuffling, guys. Amazon has support at 182. We have resistance at 183.32. We're just going back and forth. Not really a whole lot is going on. Same thing with Meta. Kind of dipping a bit. Watch the 50 EMA at 475. If we lose this, I'll be looking for a move down to 472. We have resistance at 478. We're just kind of trading sideways, but looking a little bit weaker on Meta. For a few more, Microsoft, looking like it's just trading sideways as well. Lots of stocks are just trading sideways, guys. Like I said, 431 is resistance, 429 is support. It's been going back and forth almost all day besides one push. For GameStop, I know a lot of people like GameStop. We're testing our 21.8450 EMA. And then we also have 22 as resistance. If we reject off 22, look for a move back down towards the lower 20s. If we break through 22, we're going to be looking for a push for 22.5 and back up to 24. In my personal opinion, it's kind of pushing a little bit, so I might try to pop a bit. Watch and see if we get a rejection off 22. AMC is trying to push back up to about 4.55. I think 4.64 could be retested on AMC, a little pop. But just be careful because we're just trading sideways, kind of accumulating right over here. We could get a big bounce later in June to July, but for now, we're just kind of trading sideways. So give AMC some time. With that being said, guys, Tesla's pushing a bit. SPY is still at resistance just under the 527 area, and we'll see how things go. But with that being said, guys, know that there is more data coming up before the market opens. Know what the risk is of holding overnight, and just know that right now, SPY is still trading sideways. There is a risk of it still dipping lower later on if we get a rejection and if the data allows that. So I'll be watching to see how things end up moving. But with that being said, I just want to thank you all so much for listening. Have an absolutely spectacular rest of the day. I will most definitely see you guys in just a few hours, and peace out.